Bubba Wallace here from 2311 Racing. Funny thing about being fast, you end up waiting a lot. First to show up, first in line, then just waiting. Me, I rev up Chumba Casino. With over 200 social casino games, no slow lanes here. Why sit around when you can spin? I'm already racing. Your turn. Play for free at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Tape Deck Media.
I'm Chris Chapman.
And I'm Aaron Fresquez.
I'm Joseph Beck Castro.
Cool. And together, we produce a comedy podcast about the films of Arnold Schwarzenegger called See You at the Potty, Richter.
See you at the potty, Richter. Like that. You need to say it with accent.
Yeah, come on. Don't you know accents?
That's not Arnold Schwarzenegger accent. This is a Schwarzenegger accent.
It's an accent, sure. Anyway, listen each month as we take you through Arnold's career, one movie at a time. For each movie, we'll explain the plot, discover some fascinating trivia about its production and promotion, and rate the film on its quintessential Arnoldness.
That's what we do. That's what we do.
That is Joe's accent is a lot better than my accent.
We know you have a lot of choices in the comedy deep dive into the filmography of the world's most charismatic bodybuilder genre of podcasts, but please consider giving us a shot.
Come on, do it now. Do it. Subscribe.
Jeremy Redmore, welcome to the podcast.
Kia ora, Taylor. It's lovely to be here with you.
Honestly, I really appreciate that you gave up your time a couple of times to come and talk to me. To the listeners out there, if you're in my kind of age bracket, sort of millennial, you'll probably be familiar with the name Jeremy Redmore. But in case you're not, Jeremy is a singer, songwriter, musician, puppeteer, cartoonist, children's author. Have I missed anything?
I think just generalist stuff. But the thing is, people probably do not know my name, man. Seriously. And same with when people say Midnight Youth, the band that really I've had my break with, people don't even know the band name now, but you play the songs to people of your age group and people know the songs. And so it's actually quite cool. It's quite a nice way to, I don't know, to hold fame in a way.
Well, it's a bit like Daft Punk, isn't it? Where they can go out to the regular coffee shop and no one knows who they are, but then they can also play these, I'm assuming they could do stadiums if they wanted to.
Yeah, I've often thought about that idea of masking up, doing something behind an identity. And often, I suppose like you give away a little bit of the intimacy you can get with a fan, which maybe worked better decades ago, but I don't know. There's something freeing, I imagine, in being completely faceless. So that, in the extremely slim chance that something blows up, you can still go for a coffee and just be secretly smiling on the inside when your song comes on.
Absolutely. So we'll chat a little bit about that. So I think your Instagram bio says it best. Your past life was with Midnight Youth, the band, and the hit that most Kiwis of my age probably know was called All on Our Own. Did you have any other hits that were like around that same time?
Yeah, so the song The Letter, another Whoa based song.
Okay. Yes, okay. Now that you say it, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, man. Like, because I mean, we were basically force fed to New Zealanders on the radio. And The Letter was actually played more than All on Our Own. Right. In 2009, I think, it was the most played song on radio, more than Lady Gaga, more than Ronan Keating, the big stars of the moment. So, we were unavoidable, man. Yeah.
I don't know a lot about songwriting, but, when you were coming up with the song, because that hook of... I think the lyric is, and if we run, but you sort of extend I don't know what you call that, where if we run, whatever that's called. How did you come up with that? Did it just feel good when you sang it? Or like, what was that like sort of coming up with that hook? Because it's a tremendous hook.
Yeah, thanks, man. Those songs were very much written in the environment of being a band. And the way we wrote most of the songs was, we would be in a room and we would jam an idea or a riff that someone had brought. It was either a very basic melody and chords that I would bring, or a set of chords that Simon, the guitarist, would bring into a room, and you just rehearse it. You just play it 100 times, and you would just basically loop it until you found something that felt really good. And that song definitely evolved. And there's versions that I have in like archives where the chorus is completely different.
Wow.
But I think that part, that and if we run, it's just instinct. I listen to a lot of my older brother's music growing up, and that was like Bon Jovi, Whitesnake, Ozzy Osbourne, Black Sabbath, all of that hair metal stuff. And man, you can hear that so strong in some of those Midnight Youth anthems, because it was just subconsciously feeding that moment. And look, so many of those songs as well have shit about running. It's in lots of my songs. I don't know why. It's just the vowel sound just flows well.
Yeah.
Maybe I always want to escape shit subconsciously. I don't know, but it just came.
I was going to ask as well. I apologize if you answered this one before, but where did the name come from? The Midnight Youth, sorry, the name.
That was actually pre my time of being in the band. So 3 of the guys, they formed the Midnight Youth while at high school in Rangitoto High School on the North Shore of Auckland. And they had another singer, and they entered RockQuest and did really well. I think they came second. And then the singer quit at the end of that year and did his own thing. And then when I joined the band, part of my induction demands were, can we just make it Midnight Youth and not the Midnight Youth? So it evolved a little bit, but I think it's just a vibe, man. Band names are so stupid. I mean, if you overthink them, actually, it doesn't matter if you underthink them or overthink them. They are just what they are. You just pick a random name and you become that. Pearl Jam. Yeah. Don't overthink that, because it gets really, really weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think as well with bands as well, as you're forming them and you're in and out of bands so much that you can't predict which one's going to be the one that goes off. So yeah, don't agonize yourself over choosing the perfect band name, I suppose, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could just try different ones out for a while, but these days it's different, because you kind of have to think, has someone already got my handle on Instagram, or how many other Midnight Youths are there on Spotify?
Yeah, that's true.
Because it's so hard to stand out now, because the barrier to entry in the music industry to release music and have an online, basically a way to market it, is so low. Anyone can do it. So this is the thing these days. It's harder to pick a band name. So they're probably getting more and more stupid.
Yeah, I remember Charlie XCX. I thought, where did that name come from? But I mean, it's like you just sort of have to pick something that's different, I suppose, right?
Yeah, it's like it's kind of like when okay, I'm going to show my age, but picking an email address when email addresses first kind of came around, no one really knew what to do, so they would just pick stupid names like Cow Guy 69, and you're like, why did you pick that? I don't know. I think band names are doing that.
I think of our generation, we almost didn't realize how long the internet was going to be around for, eh? Like, we didn't realize how big of a thing it was going to be. And so much of the early internet was almost like shitposting level, kind of. It was sort of just like, my 3 friends that I email will see this, and then not knowing that I might have to apply for a bank loan or something with this email someday.
Yeah. Although the cool thing is, people said, don't be careful with what you put. After a while, they'll say, be careful with what you put on the internet. But actually, a lot of stuff is gone.
Yeah, that's true.
It does disappear after a while, and there's no way to get it back. There's things to do with Midnight Youth even that I try. I'm like, I wonder if that video is still there. And things like YouTube, if your video is over a certain age, they decrease the quality, so it's unwatchable. And there's no way to get the high quality version back.
Damn, that's a shame. I was going to say,
it's definitely evolving.
Go ahead, mate. Yeah, that sort of leads nicely into what we kind of figured we were going to talk about today, was the idea about the difference between trying to make it sort of now and then trying to make it when you were coming up with the Midnight Youth, and given that you've sort of lived both lives, now you're doing your solo stuff. You've got quite a good insight into what the differences are like. So I guess the main place to start off would be back in 2008. Was it 2007 or 8 when Midnight Youth sort of popped off?
I think it was the very end of 2008. Sorry, I've got something in my throat. Still waking up here. End of 2008, we released The Letter. We had released like 2 songs before then, and we were really stoked because we got our like homemade music videos onto like Juice TV.
I was going to ask
that was
if you
the
were on, like,
song.
C4 and Juice, yeah.
Yeah, man, it was such a buzz. You get on that late night C4 show or Juice really late. They'd have the normal show, homegrown show or whatever it was, and at the end they'd be like, "Oh, the unsigned act moment," and that was just mind-blowingly cool to get on that slot.
I was going to say, what was that like watching yourself on television for the first time?
Well, I mean, it's always surreal, right? I mean, and it's actually kind of a shame now that television doesn't have this ubiquitous place in our culture. But back then, if that happened, there'd be instantly hundreds of people would see it because it was at like 11 p.m. or something on an obscure channel. But they would all see it. And it was funny because I was in a band before Midnight Youth, and we had this happen a couple of times. And when I was first jamming with the band, the guys were like, "Yeah, man, we know you because we saw your videos on Juice and on C4 on those late night shows." Like, I don't know, I mean, it's like hearing your voice recorded for the first time. You're always self-conscious. It's weird.
Yeah. I was going to say as well, I'm curious about the bump that you get from these kind of things, like, because I've had a couple of things go sort of moderately viral, and the first thing other comics always ask me is, they say, "Oh, has it helped you move any tickets?" And it's like, not even a little bit. Like, I haven't noticed any bump in ticket sales from it. Was it with Midnight Youth? Was it a gradual kind of climb, or was it all of a sudden, "Oh, we're selling tickets to tour dates, concerts, etc.?"
It was a really interesting situation. I think the magic behind Midnight Youth's journey was the fact that most of the guys went to the school, the biggest high school in the country, Rangitoto High School. They came second in Rockquest. After that competition, they played like a free show at lunch, and the whole school goes there. It's 2,000 kids, and you've got this fan base that are so invested in you because they feel like they're part of your community, part of your journey. So when the guys left school and we reformed the band and got things going, it was like maybe 3 years before we really had a break, and it was writing a genuinely good song. But we were always getting decent crowds for an unknown act because we had that community behind us. And then when we started releasing better and better songs, those people were basically activated as super fans to tell everyone they knew. And this happened a bit at the time because the same thing kind of happened with 660 in Dunedin, where they were just playing house parties and house shows, and they established this core fan base around the uni students. And then all these Dunedin students that came from all over the country went home for the summer and told everyone about 660, this cool band. And we had that a bit with the Rangitoto High School. But it was relatively gradual, but we had a nice base. But then back then, if you got a song on a good rotation on radio, which we did at the end of 2008, we released The Letter. It got on an A rotation on all the major radio stations at that moment right before Christmas, where they freeze the rotation for like 6 weeks.
Oh, that's sweet.
And that summer, we were just, oh man, it was such a cool feeling because everywhere we went, we'd hear our song and people would comment, and people wanted to know who the hell we were, and the only way they could find us was, I think, MySpace. And you saw that grow and grow, but it was gradual. It was 3 years of working towards that point.
Yeah. Once you had this song kind of take off, because I mean, I'm not super familiar with the music industry. I'm guessing the way it gets on radio is through your record label. They sort of must put it forward to radio stations to play it. Is that how it works?
Back then, yeah, for sure. And it probably still is in New Zealand. Radio and record labels have always had a very intimate relationship. And that was the thing. Like, this is why streaming is so egalitarian, because you don't need that gatekeeping person to love you to get your music out there. But back then, it was a miracle if you got a song on the radio without being signed to one of the majors in New Zealand.
Right, but it's a little easy. I don't want to say easier, but it can happen in different ways nowadays.
Yeah, nowadays, if you get a song popping off enough on TikTok and on student radio to an extent, that they can't ignore it. But it's very slow. They don't. Radio doesn't curate music like it used to. It responds slowly.
It's interesting how TikTok is such a big thing for music as well. Like are you familiar with the band called Ghost?
I'm not.
So
that's the state of this world. Yeah,
there's just so much, right? They're a how do you describe Ghost? They're a band that has lore, like a storyline behind it. And it's a whole. They've got costumes and it's very elaborate production value. It's like they're sort of transitioning into an arena rock band at the moment, and I'd sort of been following them before TikTok, and then I sort of knew like, it's going to be a matter of time before something pops off on TikTok, and then that's when they can do these. They can go from doing theaters to arenas, and it's wild the bump that you can get from just 10 seconds of your song being used on TikTok, and then people hearing it millions of times.
Yeah, I mean, and I haven't experienced that. I don't have a TikTok account that I've pushed music through because it just hasn't been relevant to what I've been doing the last few years. But man, you definitely see it. But it's so bizarre because the way you do it is you post the same video 100 times in a month and hope that one that's got slightly different positioning of the text or a different hashtag then gets through. I just feel like it's the most boring marketing work you can possibly do.
It is.
Is that just me?
No, you're bang on there. It feels like the expression I always use is meat for the machine. It's kind of the content machine, and it's you're spending like an hour on these little clips, so someone will look at it for maybe 5 seconds, and then they might like sort of exhale through their nose and then swipe on to the next one, and then it is relentless, insatiable kind of the hunger for content, and then how little people actually spend appreciating it. It's a grind, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I suspect what happens is even if you get a song, that 10 seconds of a song that has that hook that works for TikTok, whatever it is, if that blows up, you get hundreds of millions of plays through there. Then your pathway, it seems to me, and this is just from what I've observed, is you then get signed to some kind of major label deal because they can't do that, but this artist has been able to get that break. Then they sign it, and then they push it through their traditional avenue, and they activate their own Spotify playlist that they can put these acts on and immediately get millions of streams. Now, the problem with it all is you can have all of that, but then you can advertise a show in a city and no one will come.
Right.
Because you don't actually have those dedicated fans. And that's what I love about your story about Ghost, the band that's building this lore and this environment, this world around their band. Those are the bands that I see are doing really great because, yes, they might not have the same amount of streams and statistics online, but they can go all over the world and play to 800 people. And that's magic because those, especially if you build that world, because the 800 people will all buy merch if they're invested in it. I saw a band called Ninja Sex Party. Have you heard of them?
I have heard of them, yeah.
They came to Auckland. It was the most incredible show I've ever seen. I was just invited by a friend, and every single person in the power station in Auckland was 1,000% invested and comfortable and into it. I've never seen that before at a show in New Zealand. Never close. There's always cool people or partners of people who are just folding their arms, sipping a beer at the back. Zero. There was none of those. And I spoke to the tour manager, and they were doing tens of thousands of dollars in merch every single night and going all over the world. He said it was the best band he's ever managed because they came from more of a YouTube creating, like kind of almost like they were making fun little videos on YouTube. They didn't come at it to be rock and roll stars.
Yeah. That's really
anyway, I think building that organic community, it's so important.
It's sort of leads into the next sort of question for you, I suppose, is is when you made the decision to go from a band to pursuing what you're doing as a solo act. I think, are you happy to talk about the when you left the band and everything like that?
Totally, man. Yeah.
So you were sort of told me the last time we spoke that you weren't happy in the band, and uh, just I guess just tell us a little bit about like what you were thinking. Were you thinking you'd be? Was it the fact that you had to sort of be in this, balancing 4 or 5 different opinions and egos and that kind of thing, and you thought it would be a bit maybe easier to just focus on your own thing, or what was your kind of, what were you thinking about when you decided to leave?
For me, it was really a zoomed out kind of place that I came to where I have always lived my life with an attitude of it's too short to be in situations that make you feel have negative emotions and negative feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a kind of extreme example of being in that situation and just saying, look, life's not worth this. Playing these great shows and creating music with this band was not worth it for me if I'd wake up every morning feeling anxious and uncertain about just the mood in a rehearsal room and what kind of music would be created. And there was all those little things about we've gone from being 18 to 25 as a band. You grow up, you change, you do all that sort of stuff, and you like different music. It was all that generic kind of stuff about we wanted different things and had a different vision for the band. But that probably could have been worked through. But for me, I looked around at the situation. I saw what I saw, in my opinion, was 5 miserable people with no clear way out of that situation. And rightly or wrongly, I made the judgment that I was the only one who was going to do anything about that, and the only way I could see to do it was to get the fuck out. And
right.
And so I just was like, I don't want to be miserable. I don't want to feel this amount of stress supposedly doing something I love.
Yeah.
And I couldn't see another way to do it.
It's fascinating when that happens, isn't it? Because I think as creatives, we all think that success is going to we all think we're going to be the exception to the rule, that success is going to make us happy, and then you get there and you go, oh, hang on, wait, no, I don't think I am the exception to that rule.
Yeah, I think that too often as creatives, we attach our self-worth to the things that we create.
Yeah.
And our identity as well. And I think that there really needs to be a separation of what we do and who we are, and our worth as a person outside of anything we do in terms of material placement into the world. And I think back then, my self-worth was very much attached to the things that I was creating. And that was part of that situation as well. I think we had just made a second album, which was not as successful. And that could have been part of me feeling this isn't working for sure.
Did you guys play the road much?
Pardon me?
Did you guys play the road? Like, did you do? I would imagine you toured all over New Zealand and possibly Australia or something like that.
Yeah, so we did about as much as you can do in New Zealand, and then we thought, okay, we were going so well there. Our record label Warner's had an option to sign us for Australia, and they took up that option, and they said, you've got to move over here. So we moved there, and we all lived together in Sydney for 2 years and just toured the shit out of the country. But the people who signed us at Warner's, they were fired about a month after we arrived.
Oh,
and so we were basically shoved. We didn't have any label support, and then because we didn't have label support, we didn't have touring support, and so it was just a complete disaster in terms of having the support in place. And our management didn't have the network there to offset that. And so we toured. We played all over the country. It was great, but it wasn't particularly successful, and so we just very quickly just moved to writing a second album.
Yeah. Do you enjoy playing on the road?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while since I've done like a long tour now, to be honest. But back then, I remember it being enjoyable.
Yeah,
most of the time, because this is, you got to remember, like you grow up just wanting that tour to happen. Like if someone said to 17-year-old me, you're going to do 30 dates around Australia, I would just have my mind blown. And you're seeing different places, you're meeting new people every night. Even if one night, I remember we just played to a family eating their fish and chips in the RSL, who did an incredible job to completely ignore us while we played as loud as we could.
Oh my goodness.
It didn't matter. That's all part of the story, you know?
That is part of the story. I've definitely had those nights myself. Brilliant. So then just to get my timeline in order, so you sort of had the hit in 2008. Then was it about 2 years later you decided to go solo?
It was about 4 years. So we then released the first album in 2009, toured that, and then worked on the second album, which came out in 2012. And to support that, again, we played Australia, but we also went to the US. So we played all over Europe, Asia. We pushed it, but not in a very effective way. But we, as I said, our support professionally was very amateur, and and so we just didn't have the right tactics to try and break the band. They just wasn't there.
Yeah. So then when you decided to go solo, what does that process look like? Did you have to then sort of try and sign yourself as a solo act to a new label, or what was your kind of first few steps? Did you have any time off? Like, what did that look like?
Well, yeah, there is a legal situation where you're signed to a record deal to a major label, and there's always clauses around a member leaving the band.
Mm-hmm.
And so that you just have to meet with the label and talk about it. And so that's what I did, and we just made a new deal for me as a solo artist.
Right on.
So it was quite simple, really. And I went and I had already, I was writing songs all the time. And so I just worked away at recording those songs over the next year or so. And then, released the solo album in 2014, I believe.
By that point, so you actually said something very interesting to me that we sort of had a catch up a few weeks back. You said that when Midnight Youth was sort of popping off, you were like a year too late or something because of streaming, and you said that Op Shop. Do you mind telling that anecdote again? Because that really fascinated me.
Yeah, well, we were like a surfer who just kept catching the wave as it was breaking rather than getting it on that nice smooth part.
Yeah.
Or something like that. But basically, if we had, I think Op Shop had really similar radio play levels 18 months earlier than us. And they released their album and it was like huge. And over that 18 months, like Napster, etc., LimeWire, you name all those ones that were around, they really kicked in, and iTunes was becoming a big thing. And when we released our album, it was just sold hardly anything compared to that 18 months earlier. And you could see that was across the board. All the acts in New Zealand were down around the same amount. And I was like, man, if it was like 18 months earlier, we would have been able to buy houses or some shit. Yeah. But as it was, nope. and then the same thing happened. Like we were getting big in 2008 and 9. The late 2008, early 2009, and it was when MySpace was still the big social media platform. Yeah. Facebook only really got its big wave at the end of 2009, maybe early 2010. And so when Facebook started, we were behind the wave. And so we didn't get anywhere as many followers on Facebook that we should have had to release our second album, which became really important. Yeah. It was interesting. And then now streaming comes along, and that was again after we had released both our albums, and so you're catching up again.
That's really sort of unfortunate, isn't it? But
at the same time, man, we had amazing. This is the thing. Timing is just a mad scientist in the kitchen of any music project, and sometimes it can work, sometimes it doesn't. But we had an amazing timing in terms of being able to get on the radio at the end of 2008 and through 2009. That was incredible. So you can't really complain that it was these other little changes, because that's going to always happen. You can't plan for it.
No, yeah, you can't. There's no sense, sort of. Yeah, you can't affect it really. So yeah, and why? But I mean, it's yeah. You did get the radio play, which is something, and I
Yeah.
guess some bands wouldn't have even got that. But when you signed your new solo deal with the record company, did you feel like you were starting from scratch then, or did the coming off of Midnight Youth give you a little bit of a kind of momentum or a little bit of a wave to ride when you were starting out solo?
It gave me a little bit of a wave in terms of having the connections and confidence from people to invest in that project, either basically just some people to support it. So, the record label were really supportive, and the 2 singles that came with that album went really well. And the album went really well. And so from that, you're able to get funding, you're able to continue making projects if you want. And so in that sense, within the industry, I had some momentum, but I was very much starting from scratch in terms of fans that knew what my name was, and it was attached to Midnight Youth. That was super hard, and you can't use Midnight Youth I can't use that as part of my top level marketing, because I'm not in the band anymore. I don't have the right to do that.
Yeah. Is the band still going?
So, no.
They haven't. Oh, yeah. Did the rest?
No, and I think that that's the thing. If they were all happy, apart from me, they would have kept going.
Yeah, yeah. So I think you might have got out when the getting was good, right? Do you know if the rest of them are they still doing music at all, or are you the only one that sort of kept going from that?
I think everyone's still doing music, apart from one of the guys. So Simon, the guitarist, he's producing music in LA, doing a really it's such a mission to compete within the music industry and have a sustainable career. And he's in one of the hottest places in the world, and he's got a career producing music. It's amazing. So he's there, and then 2 of the other guys kind of dropped away out of music for a little while, but then Nick, the other guitarist and keyboardist, he began dating country music star Kaylee Bell before she was a household name. Right. And they really worked together on building her profile up. And so he's very much helping her. He played in her live band for a while, and now he really runs the production side of her shows. And then the bassist, Matt, he plays in her band.
Right. Wow.
So it's super cool to see them creating a new family around a different style of music, and being able to do incredible things with her and play big stages. And she's
right on.
Yeah.
It's a good time for it.
So
country is sort of coming back for the youth, I think, now. So it's not a bad spot to be in.
Hell yeah. It's
So when you were when you went solo, I imagine it must have been a little bit. You must have sort of been able to finally realize some of the visions, because you mentioned before that the kind of everyone's version of the band was a little bit different. Was that quite liberating for you to be able to sort of have complete creative control over your image and your music and everything like that?
To be honest, I'm useless with the image side of things, but I think if you listen to that my first solo album, you can really get the idea that I wanted to make a happy, upbeat record off the back of a really angsty second album by Midnight Youth. I just wanted to really, I think it was a symptom of wanting to basically force myself out of that angst and into a world that was more positive and uplifting, and and the topics it was just basically the falling in love record, getting on the road, just a sense of freedom, all that stuff. So it was really nice to create that music and create it with people who bought into that vision. People, it's such a nice group of musicians. Jesse Sheehan really helped me a lot. He's an amazing local performer who, he's someone who, if the timing had gone right for him, he'd be a household name. He's so talented. Right. It's ridiculous. People like him just bought into that, and it was just amazing to work with them.
The you sort of changed genre a little bit. Like Midnight Youth were pop punk. Is that the correct genre you'd say for them?
No, I don't think there was a part of us that was punk. No, we were just pop rock, man. Stadium pop rock.
There you go. And now you're more like,
because pop punk back then was like Goodnight Nurse, like Like they were massive in
Yes,
2008.
no, you're right. Actually, yeah, yeah. And then you're more on the folk kind of side of things now, aren't you?
I mean, yeah. So I kind of just call it singer-songwriter because I'm
Yeah,
all over the
yeah,
place, man. I do like nice, like little acoustic happy songs,
yeah.
and then I've got these heartbreakingly, stupidly sad electronic sort of bass songs. And I did a collaboration with a composer, and it's more orchestral. So
Yeah.
I'm just completely ADHD with the things that I create, and I love that. I love being able to
Yeah.
just express myself in different ways and be different people through my music.
Yeah, absolutely. Like doing this podcast was sort of when people ask you like, what is the podcast about? I'm sort of like, well, it's just whatever whims I'm following at the time. So I think that, like I've done an episode where I went to like an allegedly haunted place and did a tour guide with a tour guide that was allegedly sensitive. And yeah, it is nice to be able to sort of follow your whims creatively. With your like we were sort of talking about the difference between trying to make it back then versus now. I guess how do you sort of feel about the way your career is going? Like you've obviously been able to make a living doing this kind of stuff. Just yeah, I guess how are you feeling about the doing it solo thing? Like, are you happier now? Is there something you wish you could do? That sort of thing.
I mean, I think you definitely miss the support that you get from being in a band and having 5 people to support a vision, and that's the big thing. If you are having a down week, or if you have a skill set that's not so good, there was always someone to pick you up or fill that gap. So that's always huge. And when you're a solo artist, you've got to pay to fill those gaps, and you're the only one with any money, so you've got to foot the bill for everything. So it's a lot. I find you have to be quite careful in the way you invest, and I've become a much more of a generalist in what I do, because I just do everything. I manage myself. I project manage. I do all the funding applications. I'm doing storyboards for music videos now. All the stuff that I never would have expected to do, and it's just it's a lot, but you kind of have to do that. And, releasing music today versus back then, it's just completely different, and it's changing all the time. How I feel about my career now is there's a sense of freedom. The things that I do, I try to make each project as great as I can for myself. And if I'm really stoked with them, I put a full stop on that and I release it. And I hold on to that feeling that I love what I've created, and I detach myself from any kind of external stuff that comes from that. You've got to put a business hat on and embrace that and talk about that, but you've got to hold on to the fact that what you've created, you really love. And it's for me, I've always, the last 10 years, I've very much been creating different projects for the goal of just breaking even, or making just enough money to make the next project. And
yes,
I've always got side gigs, man. I think every creative in New Zealand has a side hustle, and unless you're in the top 1% of creatives, it's just too small an industry to survive without side hustles and different things going on. So
it is, that is an interesting thing to think about for it. I think, especially with the comics that are coming up, their vision for like what it looks like if I've made it full time as a comic is they're sort of just thinking about, you're just doing stand-up shows, but then like I've been working full time as I say comedian, but there's all sorts of little things, quiz nights, musical bingo, that sort of stuff. And like, you definitely have some unglamorous days when you're unloading a bunch of tech from a car and running it in the rain to like a corporate office to do a gig or something. And you just, you sort of like, well, it could be a lot worse, but you definitely still can have kind of shitty days, and even if you're like kind of living the dream. Yeah,
and again, I think it's that being able to zoom out and see the fact that you're actually doing what a lot of people are not doing for different reasons, but you're out there making people laugh, even if it is just that family having fish and chips.
Yes.
Even if it's just a smirk on their face, that's something, and you're actually out there doing it. You're you're creating a ripple in the world where a lot of people aren't, and you got to hold on to that and embrace it. Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the other projects you've done outside of music, because you've got your children's book, which is called Sing Like a Unicorn. I guess how did that come about? And you know, like, how did you sort of? I know you've told me, but just for the listeners out there, how'd that come about?
COVID-19, man. Yeah. At the 2020, March 2020, March 25th, I was releasing my second solo album, and the country was completely locked down, and all of my promotion got cancelled, all my radio interviews. The radio stations didn't know what to do because they were like, how do we still do a show? And so everything was cancelled. Tour was cancelled. We had a big Midnight Youth reunion show with My Chemical Romance and Jimmy Eat World. That was cancelled.
Man.
And this album is so fucking depressing that I felt bad promoting it because I was like, people don't need to feel worse.
Yeah.
And so I kind of completely pivoted at that point, and I was like, yeah, I've got a new album, but I kind of did a whole bunch of like lockdown projects.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was finishing and publishing this picture book, Sing Like a Unicorn. The idea had been around for a few years with an illustrator friend of mine, Jason Crowley. And we just spoke to each other and said, this is the time to do it, because what else are we going to do?
You got a lot of time on your hands, yeah.
Yeah, and so that came out, and it was it went really well. And of course, the book's about singing, so I had to have a song, and so I got some funding from NZ On Air, very very thankfully, and we were able to do a song and a music video that brought the book to life through stop motion. And yeah, I just loved the being able to write and write a product, write things for kids, because there's no shame in it. Like you can't, you can just do anything. Like with the songs, it's like, let's put another hook in, let's put another hook in, let's put another one, and it's no one's going to judge you for being like, that's just way too many hooks. What are you doing? Like that would happen with a regular song. With a kid's song, it's just like, yeah, cool. And so there's something really freeing about it. So then I did another song, and again that went really well. So I'm currently in the last stages of finishing a full album of kids music, and that's again only really possible with NZ On Air funding, and
right on.
It's super helpful, and I'm just loving the project. I'm super excited about what it is, because for me it's an entertainment product, but I want it to be a tool that parents and schools can use to bring connection to kids' lives. All of these songs are written, and the music videos created are written specifically to create scenarios of group singing and group synchronized movement. And there's all of this crazy science and research that I've looked into through the book and through these last releases that are about singing, that I'm like, holy crap, if kids all sing together in a group, their brainwaves synchronize. They have this feeling of awe, which then gives them a feeling of connection with each other, and you sort of lose your own individual identity within this. It's just scientific stuff. It's like high level stuff, but it's 100% fact. And so if you think about a classroom with all of the little clicks that happen in a 7-year-old's classroom, if they can feel like they're just one bunch of kids for 10 minutes, that's magic. So I want to be able to give teachers hopefully a tool to be able to create that, even if it's just once a week in a classroom where the kids are singing, moving together, and feeling like one and feeling connected. And we know all the benefits from movement and exercise. So it's called Sing-Along-a-Size.
I love it. That's actually really interesting because for two reasons, actually. One, I got back in touch with an old teacher of mine kind of recently, and we recorded a podcast that I don't know if it'll ever see the light of day. Not for any nefarious things. I think he's just a little concerned about his job, like not sure what he's allowed to say on the podcast or not. But he was telling me the way teaching has changed, and that like a lot of it is about building a community and getting the kids to think about the classroom as a mini community. So that sounds like you're like right on line with what teaching is trying to promote now. And then the other thing you've actually just given me an interesting idea is with stand-up, sometimes you get a crowd of people that won't come together as an audience, and that's when it'll feel like it's a bad show because they're not sort of collectively laughing as one organism. So I wonder if there's a way that the MC of the night could figure out how to get the get the audience members to dance and sing together, so they sort of homogenize, and then I wonder if that would help them all laugh together. That's very interesting. I have to do a bit of research into that, I think.
Absolutely, man. Like I've been doing all this research, and there are absolutely ways. And if you look into there's a woman called Priya Parker. She talks about how to create these gatherings of people, and the little things that you can do to create that atmosphere of connectedness right from the start, or even before they arrive at that place. And it can be as simple as doing "Living on a Prayer" or bloody "Why Does Love Do This to Me?"
Yeah.
In between sets, you do a sing along,
That's really interesting.
and all of a sudden, people just all the barriers are broken down. They can laugh together. There might be things you can do there for sure, because if you look I've been going deep into this rabbit hole, man.
You have. You really have. That is really interesting. I'll need to make a note to remind myself to look at that. I was going to ask you as well. You, the world of children's entertainment is an interesting one. Did I mention to you the play that I'm sort of currently doing?
You did mention it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm I'm currently the father bear in a Goldilocks and the Three Bears play. And we're doing it for it's called Cushion Theatre, and so the kids come in and they're just sitting on cushions in front of you, and you're like this. They're like basically right in the set kind of thing. And it's my first ever time. Well, I've done stand up for children once, but that was sort of an isolated incident. And then the world of entertaining children is a fascinating new one for me. Is that something that you might become a sort of not a Wiggles-esque figure, but do you know what I mean? Like a sort of I'm just thinking about it from a touring perspective. The shows are a lot earlier, so you're not having the late nights. You can still tour around everywhere, and you get to play music. But being a children's musician entertainer, it sounds like a pretty good gig to me from what I've seen of the Wiggles.
It could be. I'm not sure if the world needs another older white guy singing songs to their kids, though. I've been very conscious of when I've been releasing these. All of the kids' stuff I've been doing, I'm not. My face has nothing to do with basically any of it. I don't want. Right. I remember growing up, and there was always like 50-year-old people telling me what to do on kids' shows, and I was always just like, "What the hell?" And that's why someone like Susie Cato, who was like 20 in the morning show, it was so much better because kids were like, "Oh, you're not my mum. You're just an older, cool person."
Right.
And I could be a dad. I'm not a dad, but I could be these kids' dad. So I don't want to be doing dad shows. I don't think the world needs more of that. So that's why I want to be creating content that people can use in their own way, preferably without me. And if I do present these songs and these what I do musically, maybe it's not me. Maybe it's someone else or a group that presents it, and I can facilitate it.
Not a bad way to be at all.
But I'm still thinking about how that can work because, I'm just conscious of that. I'm just uncomfortable with throwing myself into that world as me.
Yeah, no, more than fair enough, to be honest. Well, I think we're coming up about an hour now. I think we've covered everything we set out to cover, but is there anything else that you're working on that you're just really excited about and you'd like to talk about?
Look, I'm really throwing myself really into this kids project. At the moment, we're doing 6 stop motion music videos.
That's right.
That are like kind of instructional videos, and man, it's so hectic. There's a guy called Adam Rowland at Awkward Animations. Big shout out to him because he's working with a budget that's about 10% of what he should be getting paid.
Right.
And the only way it's working is if we are basically cheating, doing 1,000 cheats on how to be really efficient with how we animate these videos. And it actually comes right back to writing the songs. For example, I had these songs that were quite abstract, walking through a forest and there's birds flying around, things like that. But then I was like, oh man, if we try and animate this, it'll be like really hard and it'll take forever. So that's impossible. So I rewrote all of the lyrics for these songs so that each of them is basically about a kind of movement. We've got skipping, hopping, spinning, etc. And so the videos are really focused on one movement that can be looped and filmed from different angles and recreated. And it's really fascinating to work with these kind of constraints. It's a crazy creative project, absolutely mad. But we're creating something hopefully really cool.
That is a real constraint to have to think about when you're writing the lyrics. Think about, is this going to be hard or expensive to animate? Like just picture you in your head being like 1,000 birds. I'm like, oh no, hang on, one bird. Just cutting it down.
Exactly. But like I had like the song that was like, "Bee waka waka on a kowhai tree," and then I was like, no, can't put a tree in there. And you're going to make this bird fly, and even creating one. Yes. So so we've created one puppet that will be like in all of them, and it's been really, really cool and challenging, and But I'm coming back to New Zealand. I live in the Netherlands at the moment, and
I was going to ask you about that as well. What's that been like? How have you found that? How long you've been over there for? About half a year or something? You said, right?
Nah, man, 2 years.
2 years. Wow. What's that been like?
Yeah. Absolute madness. I can like recommend it in ways to like really challenge yourself and grow. But because man, you have some highs, but you have some big lows. Especially moving to a country where the first language is not English, and and not moving there with any network or any opportunity. Like I moved here with my partner because she has a sick family member. We're supporting the family. So we didn't move here because we had an opportunity or to go on an adventure. It was like, okay, now we're here. What the hell do we do?
Yeah, it sort of happened to you.
Yeah. And man, if you want to grow as a person and go through all kinds of crazy shit, this is what you need to do. So I can recommend it if you're into that. But if you don't feel like growing right now, just chill where you are. Because it's stretchy, man. It's stretchy.
Yeah. I moved.
But it's wild. I'm like, Sorry, carry on.
I was just going to say, I moved to Japan when I was 22. And so, that when you said with a language that you don't speak, or it's, the native language, is like, oh yeah, that takes me back.
Yeah. And you just keep thinking, you instead of swimming around in the shallow end of a pool, you're just thrown into the ocean and you're like, okay, I know, how do I keep treading water here? And then how do I learn how to freestyle out of here? And where the hell is the shore? Because the shore could be 360 degrees of different directions. So I've been spinning around looking for a shore for 2 years. But on the way, you meet incredible people that you would never have met. I found myself this week, I've been in 2 sessions at Armada Music, which is the biggest indie dance label in the world. And I'm writing with these legendary DJs and producers in a genre of music that I had no experience with before moving here, or very little.
Yeah.
And it's wild. So I'm still trying to find my shore, but I'm coming across some pretty cool things floating around in the meantime.
I think it's very interesting the way, like, do you know a stand-up comedian called David Correos?
I don't, sorry.
So he's of my era, and I would say he's like famous in New Zealand, but then when he goes overseas, it's a bit of he's almost, I don't know if he started from scratch exactly, but I know it's been weird for him to go to shows in America and they've kind of been like, who are you? And he sort of had to be like, well, like, I'm real big where I come from, but here not so much. And when you made the decision to go over and you were thinking like, man, how do I sort of keep making a living doing what I do, but like you say, no network, the language is difficult. What did you do? Did you just kind of start looking for like a new label? Did you try and put on some gigs? Like what was your kind of where did you sort of land, I guess?
Dude, to be honest, I just wanted to have, okay, we moved here for quite stressful reasons. So I wanted to find something really like stable, predictable, lean into my experience outside of the music industry. I've been a journalist for a long time. I'm an editor, copywriter, a fundraiser. I wanted to do something that was just steady, and I didn't think about music at all.
Right on.
But it's just been impossible to find work. And so I've gone back to music, and I'm a vocal coach. I'm doing songwriting workshops. I'm songwriting for all these different DJs and producers, and doing some shows here and there. But it's like I didn't move here thinking I'm going to be in the Netherlands. I didn't actually have any. I didn't want to do any of that. And that's why it was actually a really big gift. About maybe 6 months into being here to get the funding to do the kids' music album, because I was really at a place where I just didn't have anything to work towards, because I couldn't. When you move to another country, you don't know what the possibilities are. And what the framework is to get somewhere, and you feel really lost. So getting that project funding was a lifesaver mentally, to be able to have that and hold on to it. And in the meantime, I can chip away at things here. But man, it's wild.
And you said you're heading back to New Zealand. When did you say? Sorry,
October. I am going to be back, and I'm just going to try and promote the crap out of this project and do that for a month, and then I'm going to just climb some hills, because there's no fucking hills here, and you miss hills. I go over like a bridge on my bike. I'm like, oh yeah, it's kind of a hill.
I was going to say, what do you miss about New Zealand the most living there? Apart from the hills,
the solitude, solitude and nature, man. Yeah. The hills are great, but this is one of the most highly densely populated countries in the world, and it's still like it's very well ordered and well maintained and all that kind of stuff. It's not a dirty country at all, but you still you can't get free from a highway or from people. And New Zealand is so special that you can live in Auckland and drive half an hour to a beach and there's no one else there. It's madness. So I'm looking forward to just leaning into the peace and stillness of nature and the wildness of New Zealand, and of course, family, friends, and the ease of conversation. That's another thing you miss is you run into a fellow Kiwi here, and it's so easy, because you would have had this in Japan. When you speak to someone who has English as a second language, even if they speak it very well, you have to simplify everything you say, and you lose all your nuance, and you lose your humor.
Absolutely.
That's the hard thing. And then you talk to a Kiwi and you're like, yes. This is so easy. It's so nice.
That's right. Well, if you're ever down in Christchurch, holler at me and I can, show you some comedy spots. I guess I don't know. I don't know if that's appealing to you or not.
I love Christchurch, man. I absolutely love it. Whenever I've played a show there or visited, I love that people actually get out and support creatives there. It seems that way
for sure. Yeah, definitely.
So I'd love to.
I think that's a perfect place to end it. What kind of plugs would you like to give the listeners out there? Like, where's the best place for them to keep up with what you're doing?
Jeremy Redmore is my name, and there's only one Jeremy Redmore in the world. So you just search my name, and it'll come up on social media. If you want to follow me to see, I mean, I'm trying to really focus everything I do around the magic of singing, because that is my buzz right now. So it's getting kids to sing, but it's also writing. I write poetry about singing. I want to create opportunities for people to sing together in Amsterdam here. I'm writing songs that are anthems that hopefully people can sing along, which I've been doing forever, of course. So if you just want that kind of thing going on, cool. And I'm not doing the 5 same videos a day. Screw that. It's very slow socials, man. Yeah, bring it back.
Yes, no, I think that's the move.
But if you know anyone with kids who love to sing and have a bit of music going on, Sing Like a Unicorn, man. That's my little book, and look out for Sing Along a Size later on this year.
Exactly. The next time I'm in a Whitcoulls or something, I'm gonna look for Sing Like a Unicorn, see if I can pick up a copy here and have that on my shelf.
It's not in Whitcoulls, man. It's not in Whitcoulls. They don't stock people who are self-published. Never in a day.
Man,
they have like their top 100, and it's only books that they sell. It's bollocks. The book industry is worse than the music industry.
That's
so
big
if you
book
want to
industry,
support
isn't it?
authors, you got to get into your local bookshop that's not Whitcoulls, and you've got to go to their websites. You know, if you have like see those books, the Dragon Hunters or whatever they are, that guy, he's a genius. He's selling them on his they're in shops, but go to their website, buy them directly. My sister wraps them up nicely and puts them in the local post box, and they come to you.
Oh hell yeah! I love that. I will.
Actually, my little niece does.
Gotta love child labor there. I'll make sure I get a copy from the official channels then. But yeah, I was just going to say, honestly, Jeremy, like, thank you for giving up your time, and to someone that I sort of just DM'd you randomly, and you've been an absolute gentleman and a scholar throughout chatting with you, and I really appreciate you taking a punt and coming on the podcast.
No, thanks for having me, man. It's I appreciate your drive to create this, and I hope it goes really well, and keep making people laugh, man. That's what it's about. I try and make people sing, and I appreciate people who try to make people laugh as well, because it's the same buzz at the end of the day.
It is. Alrighty. Well, thank you so much for joining me, and we'll catch you next time, I suppose.
Yeah, man. Next time I come through Christchurch, I'll give you a call.
Thank you for listening to Ruddle Me This. Don't forget to hit subscribe and leave me a review on your favorite podcast platform. You can find me on social media at Taylor Ruddle Comedy on all the major platforms. You can also join patreon.com/Taylor Ruddle Comedy for free, which gets you access to all sorts of extras and behind the scenes content, as well as allows you to communicate directly with me and let me know what you think of the show. Tune in again next Monday for another episode of Ruddle Me This, and until then, Ruddle her out.
This has been a Tape Deck Media production. Thank you for listening.
Hey Ruddlers, I joined a group of podcasters that we are calling the Trailer Alliance, a group of podcasters that share each other's trailers at the end of the episodes and generally support each other. So at the end of each episode for the next few weeks, I'm going to be playing a trailer of one of the members of the Trailer Alliance. And here's one of them now. I hope you like it.
What's up, everyone? This is JJ. Listen, I'm always wanting to try to engage with you all, but some of you are still so shy. Please don't be shy. I'm not going to bite. Hit me up on IG, lifepodcast_84. However, if you don't want to hit me on IG, you want to hit me through email, that's fine. You can hit me at thisisthelifepodcast84@gmail.com. Again, thisisthelifepodcast84@gmail.com. IG, Instagram, hit me, lifepodcast_84. Come on, y'all. Let's be live. Let's be active. Love.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather, now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21+. Terms and conditions apply.